Greg was a prime candidate for an issue that we're looking about, the French connections, and how can we improve on our French connections and what the opportunities there are. I couldn't think of many people that had the experience across both islands, quite like you do. Greg is a musician who plays regularly in France. He's also deputy director here at St James as well, so he's involved in the cultural aspects. I just start up. What keeps you going back to France?
I mean, I grew up in Brittany, not France, but Brittany. Yes.
Oh no! Cut that! Cut that.
But I go back to a lot. I got family. I moved over there when I was quite young. My sisters are still over in France. My mother as well, and I go back a lot through family and friends. And when I first sort of came, I used to go back and forth all the time through the islands. Then the travel got quite difficult, especially during COVID. So there was a lot less going home. And now it's got so much better. And I've always been a huge advocate to try and bring in the cultural aspect and be able to showcase the talent from Guernsey over in France and bring talent from France over here as well.
And do you see any obstacles to that at the moment? Are we making enough of that kind of opportunity?
I think like I was saying, for a few years, it was really difficult. We were really struggling with the boats, bringing people over. It just got to the point where it was financially not viable, especially when you're talking about talent that isn't necessarily a big enough name to be able to bring in a crowd. So you really want to work on grassroots and get people to discover artists and things like that. And by the time you've considered fees and travel and accommodation, it just financially isn't necessarily easy. And then we've had some massive support this year through Brittany Ferries, which helps us to bring people over. And then the transport links got better, so it meant that times run at the right time so you can get people in. So it's a logistical thing. Then recently they introduced the ETA. That was a bit of a knockback again, where if you travel overnight, you have to have your passport and a visa, which is, it's small money. It's £25, but it's not small money to an artist and not small money to someone that's touring and that's relying on very small amounts of money to be able to make a living. And so that knockback was a big knockback again. That's a chunk of tickets to sell again, just to cover that. So there's little bits each time that keep knocking us back when we're getting there, but we are getting there and people are engaging and people see, French people want to come and play here. I think Ellen touched on it before. The UK makes the best music. I'm sorry, it does. We've got a real reputation. We make amazing, interesting, amazing music, and France makes a really different type and a really interesting genre. And then when you combine the two, it's just a whole new world. I mean, the jazz world in London and Paris right now is the place to be. I mean, it's just the most exciting, innovative, there's just everything's happening there. And when the two collide like that together, it's amazing. And the thing is, all those people there in London and Paris, but they don't come from London and Paris. They come from all over the UK. They come from all over France and Europe and everything like that. So it's about connecting those places, before they reach London and Paris, or bringing them back to their roots, which is where they want to be,
And we've seen that to an extent here, haven't we, with what you launched with the global video.
With the global collection, yeah. So trying to bring, it's tough on an island this size to bring, like we're saying, some of those really big names that you see on the TV, they're playing big arenas, big stadiums. We don't necessarily have the demographic, or what for you might be a really big name. It's not necessarily when you come to a small island, you're talking a niche within a niche of things that people love. I can speak about artists that for me are huge and incredible, but if you're not necessarily, or you don't know about the genre, about the names, it's quite difficult. So a big part has been able to build a brand around things that people trust, and artists that we curate and see and know and trust to be just amazing live acts. And I'd say out of 10 artists, there was one that you might say, this wasn't my cup of tea, but you can see the art in it. But I'm definitely sure that 9 out of 10 you will go, that's something I've never experienced, and become a real fan and join in. So it's been a real core to that, bringing those artists in, and then that's what we've started bringing in. So across all genres, how to bring that like talent and that really interesting art to the island, really.
And it was interesting. I remember sitting in here chatting to with some of the artists that were around, and just watching those ideas sparking off of each other. And it speaks a bit back to what you're talking about, the French and British connection.
Yeah. So all year we bring artists for the global, and then when you were talking, that's during our festival, which happens in October, where we bring artists from the Wednesday through to the Sunday in a residency. So they're on island, all of them. It's really tough to curate because you're talking a small number of artists over multiple days. The kind of amount of artists I'd usually bring into about half a day's festival, I have to spread over sort of 3 days and curate, and they come in from all different places, and they collaborate, and you try and get some that know each other, some that don't know each other, and try and work together and experience and to spend that time whilst they're here. So we work with the OGH, which is our partner hotel, which is lovely. And basically they knock back and forth between here, and then the local residents also hang out during the day and in the evening, and it becomes this great melting pot of art and music and conversation and just a great collaboration. I mean, that's where you want to be, don't you? You want to be surrounded by great music, great conversation, and loads of wine.
Naturally. Do you find that your French connection, do you bring that into the programming at St James as well? How's it influenced?
I do a little bit. I have to be careful.
Yeah.
I think we've got a very strict set of rules that we all set ourselves out. We all have our own bias to what we want to put on, and things that sometimes we think this is brilliant, and yet I keep getting shot down on some sort of like very obscure math rock bands, which I think are great, but about 10 people might turn up to. So yes, you've got to know where your bias is and see, but then, sometimes it's really pushing and outweighing that and going, you really think that's really important, or there is a link. Everything has a link. So whether it's a link from an artist that's played previously, that's bringing a new outfit that we already know has a relationship with the island, so we're bringing back that person, bringing back that repeat, or that they will potentially, they're the kind of artists that we need to get now. Bands like Gregory is in the UK, not necessarily in France, but bands like some of the jazz outfits that we've had in France, some of those artists, or the classical stuff, some of those artists have then gone on to do huge careers, and getting them at the right time whilst we can still actually get them to the island, and they're not just touring all the big shows, is really important. So it's about like establishing that relationship early with people, because we found that 95% of the time, those artists that you establish that relationship, that you showcase the island to, that sometimes we forget, because we're here all the time, we forget how beautiful this building is, we forget how beautiful the island is, and then you pick someone up from the airport who's just come off a 3-month tour of the Midlands and seen every Airbnb every sort of Premier Inn or something there is, and they arrive and you just kind of loop round the West Coast and go, oh, this is our view every day, and drop them off to the OGH, and then they come into a beautiful hall, and then they get really amazing responsive public, and they can wander around the streets, and it's just, yeah, that's the bit where they go, it's a real experience away.
Moving the story of St James on a little bit from just the cultural aspect, there's an economic and job side to what you're doing here. Do you think that's recognised?
I think it's tough in the arts in general. I think it's really tough. It's tough to put the economic side to people, because I think it's difficult unless you're within the industry to completely understand it. It's so vast, and we talk about all the health benefits and the cultural side, that sometimes we forget what a massive industry it is. and especially at the sort of grassroots level, which are really like the schools and the beginning of that creative industry, which is a multi-billion-pound industry in the UK, and we're feeling a little bit the pain right now from a lack of funding and support to these sort of grassroots spaces, because in the wider industries where things sort of go on to make that money and revenue, that big tax revenue and stuff that we have is there's decline is there, and people that were in the industry are sort of passing away and things like that. I'm talking about like big acts and things like that we now have. Every band that you watch or that is on TV or that you've gone to, or every Glastonbury started off in a small town venue, and if they weren't touring those small town venues, you wouldn't have any of those artists, traveling the world. And I think the real hit came a few years ago when it was the first time that there wasn't a top UK artist in the top 10 since charts have started, and we all went, what's happened? This is not normal, and it isn't normal. And I think that is got a lot better over the years, being able to put the argument and showcasing what it does for local industry, what it does for the hospitality perspective. Like every pound that you invest, you get so much more back, and showcasing what it does on a day-to-day. We forget that art and creativity and everything is part of our day-to-day life more than we imagine. It's way more than we imagine. It's the moment you walk home, that you turn on the TV. It's in your, it's tannoy systems in railways. It's things like this that we just don't think about, which is all part of that industry. It's being able to broadcast the sports that you love. We've just seen the World Cup, which is huge, and everyone loves it, and it's an amazing thing. But you need cameramen, and you need broadcasters, and you need everyone within this, and technicians, and everything that go with it. And these spaces like venues and creative spaces for people to be creative and have these conversations is hugely important for the industry. And I think it's even more important now when we have like big questions around which direction we want to go politically and in the world.
Do you feel the future of St James is secure at the moment as well?
Is it secure? Well, the reality is it's not secure. No. Until we have some proper security. There is a lot of talk. We've been back and forth a lot of times. I think we keep going. I think it's secure because I think the will of the people is to keep it here. I think that people really recognise how important it is as a place, and I think that's what keeps it going, and pig-headedness. But yes, it's the same as it always is, and I think it's the same for a lot of arts institutions. It's always precarious, which is a shame, because if it wasn't, we could do a lot more.
And I guess that loops me quite nicely back to what more could we be doing with France? Do you feel you have a message to sell to bring more French tourists to come to St James as a venue, for instance? Do you think?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think they want to come. I think it's being able to get it over to those people. I think being able to stay, like we were saying, they come for the day trip, but we want them to stay overnight, 2-3 days, be part of the communities, come and help. Like, I've had friends over the years come and volunteer from the Sark Folk Festival all the way through to the Vale Earth Fair, and that keep coming back and make it their trip away. There's lots of people in Brittany that love to make it, becomes a second home, becomes a second family. And I think there's huge opportunities within the arts to do that. It's around like bringing those people together, and festivals and music bring people together. Since the dawn of time, it's what brings people together. You don't rewrite the book. That's what it does. You can put extra, all the other stuff is peripheral. Bring everybody together first, and then it will work itself out from there. I think, we've got a huge market to tap into, and we should be pushing and tapping into it. But I think there's loads of people doing great things. I think those people are already doing that. So it's not necessarily about trying to invest huge amounts into a whole new thing. Those people are there. Those people that are really at the forefront and have been doing it for ages, just give them a little bit of support and you'll see the benefits very quickly.
That's a brilliant way to end up. Thank you, Greg.
Sure. Thank you.